His economic agenda is clearly succeeding. And despite what the Destroy Trump media tells you night after night after night, this country is in a so much better place, more prosperous place with President Trump at the helm. Numbers do not lie. Let's take a trip down memory lane and contrast with President Obama's horrific economic track record. It saw virtually no growth, record high distribution of food stamps. 13 million more Americans were on food stamps. 8 million more Americans were in poverty. We had the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s, the worst home ownership rate in 51 years, the worst recovery since the 40s, and he doubled the national debt. Yeah, that was Barack Obama's record. We'll get back to all this major news on the economic front later in the show. But now we got to turn to some other breaking news tonight, and this is huge from John Solomon. His brand new bombshell report, the FBI's efforts to monitor the Trump campaign actually originated months before the FBI authorized the counterintelligence investigation into so-called Russian election interference. This after, quote, foreign figures contacted Trump campaign advisors and provided the FBI with hearsay allegations of Trump-Russia collusion. Now, according to John Solomon, these foreign figures, including some of the trusted intelligence sources and even some Hillary Clinton supporters. In other words, what this means is members of the deep state, that upper echelon that we talk about, Clinton sycophants, they were literally flooding the FBI with lies, unverified, uncorroborated, anti-Trump material. And there's more. Remember the lovebird, Strzok and Page? John Solomon tonight has uncovered a series of new texts from these two anti-Trump FBI officials that show the Obama administration was likely involved in steering this investigation against the Trump campaign, including one text that took place as the FBI was opening their investigation into so-called Russian meddling, where Lisa Page writes, quote, "We're not going to withstand the pressure soon." And then Page and Strzok also expressing fears that Obama would, quote, hijack their investigation or leak details to the press. And in another text from Peter Strzok, he indicated that the Obama administration was very much involved in the FBI investigation, writing, quote, "The White House," meaning the Obama White House, "is running this." So what did Obama know? When did he know it? What did his inner circle know? When did they know it? It's now time to put the former president and his entire team under oath. Now, Sarah Carter, also tonight, another new report and bombshell detailing the possible connection between an international spying alliance called the Five Eyes. You can't put this in a novel. And the rampant surveillance of the Trump campaign. It's even bigger than we thought. After all, as Solomon and Carter both reported, the investigation into Trump-Russia collusion, remember, it originated abroad in London. Now, the United Kingdom is a key member of this Five Eyes alliance. And despite all of this, you got the lunatic, former communist, former CIA director under Obama, John Brennan, now calling President Trump paranoid for expressing concerns over deep state spying. We already know it's true. How could it be paranoid? Sounds like he's very defensive. Take a look.
I think Mr. Trump has demonstrated a paranoia and insecurity, as well as a real concern about the investigation that is underway. Certainly his tweets do not seem like they're coming from a person of innocence and confidence. Mr. Trump is going to promote his narrative. He certainly is going to continue to try to discredit the FBI and the CIA and others. But I think, make no mistake about it, the American justice system, I think, is going to prevail in this endeavor to get to the bottom of who might have been collaborating and working with foreign actors to try to undermine the integrity of the election.
All right, remember, this is the same John Brennan who went on national TV a few months ago and told the world that Donald Trump should be very, very worried. Sounds like a deep state threat. Take a listen.
I think he's afraid of the president of Russia.
Why?
Well, I think one can speculate as to why. That the Russians may have something on him personally that they could always roll out and make his life more difficult. Clearly, I think it's important for us to be able to improve relations with Russia. But the fact that he has had this fawning attitude toward Mr. Putin has not said anything negative about him. I think continues to say to me that he does have something to fear.
All right, putting John Brennan's blind contempt and hatred for President Trump aside, we have even more revelations to bring you showing that the deep state is starting to crack. According to a new report, the Wall Street Journal's Kim Strassel, there are now serious issues with the FBI's, quote, Papadopoulos, who nobody ever heard of, and that narrative after the alleged informant in the case publicly contradicted the FBI's own claims that the one-time low-level Trump advisor discussed the hacked Democratic emails. And remember, the now infamous 2016 Trump Tower meeting between Donald Trump Jr., a Russian lawyer, a Russian-American lobbyist, and a few others? Oh, we have new information recently unearthed, a transcript from a 2017 Senate hearing that the Russian-American lobbyist admitted to personally knowing Hillary Clinton and some of the people who worked in her campaign. So what was someone who knew Hillary Clinton doing in that meeting? Is the media going to report on that? It's unbelievable. It gets more insane every day. We'll have more on this also later in the show. Also tonight, let's turn to the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein. You know, the guy that said Comey should be fired, the guy that signed the last FISA warrant based on the phony dossier that Clinton bought and paid for. She used a foreign agent to put together, funneling money through a law firm, then to GPS, then to the foreign agent, Russian lies, Russian government lies to manipulate you, the American people. Well, last night we showed you how Rosenstein's clear conflicts of interest surrounding this ongoing Russia probe, specifically, you know, his key role in firing Comey. He's witness A in that whole investigation, and he's the one that appointed Mueller. Now, finally, people in D.C. are getting what we have been telling you. There are growing calls tonight for Rod Rosenstein to recuse himself. That includes Senator Lindsey Graham. Welcome aboard, Senator. He is asking three very important questions. Quote, do you consider yourself a potential witness in the Mueller investigation regarding the firing of Director Comey by President Trump? If not, why not? He recommended it. Yeah, he's a witness. And if so, by the way, you should recuse yourself from further interactions with oversight of the Mueller investigation. Thankfully, finally, someone saying what we have been saying and calling for over and over for months. The Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, it's time for you to answer those questions. We know the answers, and then recuse yourself and get out of the way, because you are the most conflicted person in all of this, not the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. And by the way, great news for me tonight. Pay close attention. Remember when Senator Chuck Schumer said that you better not mess with the intel community because they're going to get you 6 ways to Sunday? This is great news for me. Best-selling author Jerome Corsi. He's the author of this book. It's out now in bookstores, on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. It's called Killing the Deep State. You might remember him. He was back. Remember the group against John Kerry, Vietnam Vets for Truth? He was one of them. He's saying that yours truly, that I, Sean Hannity, am the next target of the deep state. Wow, isn't it so great to know that these corrupt officials with their backs against the wall, that are desperate people do desperate things, the people that have the most powerful tools of intelligence, they're now going after me. Okay, really? So sadly, after all we have learned, you know, now we have Jerome Corsi's prediction. It doesn't surprise me. Isn't that sad? Are we the United States of America, or are we going to be the former Soviet Union, or are we going to be Venezuela? I promise you this one thing. I'm never stopping, ever.
Well, wouldn't you know, comedian Samantha Bee is suffering pretty much no consequences at all for her repugnant attack on Ivanka Trump. And the liberal media double standard apparently also applies to MSNBC's Joy Reid. Over the last few weeks, hateful and nasty blog posts by Reid from as far back as 2005, they've all surfaced. Well, she's repeatedly apologized for the posts. Her network says she has evolved, and her show remains on the air. Joining me now, one of Reid's targets, New York Times bestselling author Ann Coulter. Ann, great to see you. I'm sure none of this surprises you. I mean, this is what you and I have become accustomed to. Liberals can say anything they want about women, minorities, Jews, and get away with it. But you found some interesting nuggets from her past.
Yes, it actually went up on Daily Caller today. One was she was wishing for you and me to be left in the public square in Iraq, which I think is interesting because I agree I wouldn't want to go to a majority Muslim country. I don't know why liberals want to turn this country into those countries. But she considered that really, the worst thing you could do to us. And then in a separate post, I guess she liked or retweeted someone suggesting that, I don't know if it was just me or both of us, kill ourselves. And then, of course, there was the always popular calling me a man for having a beautiful swan-like neck. Liberal women, as long as we're being frank here, aren't used to that because they have rolls of fat on their neck. They're really taken aback by my beautiful swan-like neck. But the point of all this is, I mean, these nasty, nasty things that get posted by liberals, it shows they just wanted to get rid of Roseanne. I've been told my entire life, oh, no, newspapers, TV stations, they're just trying to make money. It's whatever the public wants. No, it isn't. It has never been that. Liberals say much, much worse things, but they're part of the political agenda. The reason they wanted to fire Roseanne was, I mean, she used to be kind of a left-wing loon. She became a Trump-supporting, still kind of a loon. But she had a wildly popular program, and apparently it was popular with Trump supporters, whom they enjoy calling racists.
Did you see that they're trying to maybe reboot the show without her? With just her daughter, who's obviously the more liberal character, and John Goodman apparently said, "Oh, I'd be up for that." I mean, but this is the kind of ideas they have. There's the half of the country who voted for Trump, roughly. All these people are looking for something that just doesn't offend them on a minute-by-minute basis. And this show kind of had some funny moments where someone who liked Trump wasn't ridiculed every 5 seconds. So that's all it was. It wasn't even all that political of a show. But I bet, the producers, the people behind the show, they were tired of having to answer for it at various social events in L.A. or Malibu. They don't want to answer. This is a nice, kind of ugly way of saying, oh, this is off the air. We can go back to doing business as normal, Ann.
Right. I mean, I never saw the old show or the new show, but when she was getting ratings like we haven't even heard of for 20 years, to be dumping that show because of crazy tweets she was sending. She has always sent crazy tweets. This is nothing new. I mean, I don't want to be sent to the concentration camp. Yes, I condemn her tweet. But she's always sent crazy tweets that are deserving of condemnation. It has nothing to do with that. And if they really cared about offensive tweets and so on, well, obviously Samantha Bee and Joy Reid wouldn't be on air. But we got to keep them. And
I want to talk about where this party is going. I talked earlier to Dinesh about this and how everything has become radicalized. They claim that Trump's the radical, where he's kind of really pretty mainstream and wants to work with Democrats on trade and other issues. And yet we see the Democrats now lurching toward perhaps an Elizabeth Warren, a Kamala Harris, maybe Cory Booker in 2020. And then you have the old establishment figures like John Boehner out there a couple of days ago. He came out and he's still sniffing and harumphing clearly about Donald Trump. Let's watch.
I want to talk to you about what's happened with the Republican Party.
There is no Republican Party. There's a Trump Party. The Republican Party is kind of taking a nap somewhere.
What do you think about old Boehner's comment?
I hope it's not a nap. I hope it's dead. I want the Republican Party to be the Trump Party. We might start winning again. But I thought John Boehner was off promoting marijuana or something.
Yeah, he joined some marijuana board, and he said he was always against marijuana until he just became an advisory board member of, in other words, kind of an informal lobbyist for legalizing pot across the United States.
And you wonder why I want the Republican Party dead. And moving on, just move it aside. It should go the way of the Whigs. This is I think, a great turning point, as it was when Lincoln took over. That party has served its purpose. Yeah. All it did was lose elections, serve corporate interests. Now Trump has to do what he actually ran on.
Yeah, well, he has a long road to hoe there. Ann Coulter, thanks.